question I get asked about once a month. Do I need to hold my threads when I start to sew? So I'm going to answer that. We are using the Pfaff Creative Icon 2, and I want to explain why some people think they need to hold the threads. So raise your hand if you have been doing this for years, because back in the day, if you didn't hold these threads when you started to sew, things got all jumbled up. And that is very common. Now, I remember not having to hold those threads because my mom taught me the specifics of how a machine works and how to make it so it didn't pull out of the needle or get jammed down below. So one thing I do recommend though is this thread should be underneath your presser foot, and it can actually be to the back or anywhere off to this side. So even if it's sitting off here to about 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock, this is totally legit. So if you have ever done this and kind of petted that thread towards the back, that's good. That kind of keeps it out of the way as you start. Now the next thing is that when you go to start, you do need your first stitch to land in fabric. Now a way you can tell if you have pushed your fabric in far enough on this machine is, do you see this line right across here on the throat plate? You'll see it extends all the way on this side as well. If you have your fabric touching that line, and I know the angle's weird because of where you sit and your line of sight is from like here angled in, but when you lower that presser foot, you will see a little bit of fabric right under the needle, just enough for that stitch to catch the fabric first. So that does mean that if you don't see fabric, push it in a little further, or if you are starting out here in air for any reason, yep, you should probably hold those threads. Now the reason we had that habit anyway was because back in the day, over on the hand wheel side, you would often turn that hand wheel when you were done with a stitch. You turned it and brought the needle to the highest position. On machines that are computerized or electronic, you will find that if you just let the machine always stop with the needle in the highest position, or maybe use one of the buttons right up here to say lower it into the position that you want it, let the machine finish the stitch at its highest position. That's the point where when you take this fabric out, the stitch is fully completed. You cut the thread or you've used the automatic thread scissors on the machine, and everything is in the right place to start the next stitch. It's when we haven't finished that last stitch all the way, we haven't brought the needle all the way to the highest position like it looks like it is, but it's not. It still needs to come another bit for it to finish. That is when we got in trouble on those older mechanical machines. And yes, you probably did want to hold on to those threads when you started to sew. So here's my summation of this is let the machine always stop in the highest position when all possible. If you have turned the hand wheel and changed that, you can always touch that needle up down button and cycle through one time, and that brings the needle to where it will start, and you will never have to hold your threads when you start to sew again. I hope this video has been helpful, and you can see all the video tutorials that we have done on the Pfaff Creative Icon 2 in the links below. And we have online courses if you want to master any of your machines, both sewing or embroidery, to help you really get the most out of the machine you own. So now, with that knowledge, I hope you can start stitching without holding your threads ever again.